This video is sponsored by the Federal Reserve banking system hating guys over at Noble Gold. Fiat currency is a Ponzi scheme, and the dollar will one day take its rightful place among the ash heap of all failed currency. It's going to go to zero. Grab your free inflation ebook in the link below and learn how to convert some of your Federal Reserve notes to the sound money of gold and silver. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and share it with everybody you know. By doing this, you guys help me combat all this YouTube shadow banning. Former State Department employee William Blum, in his book Rogue State, A Guide to the World's Only Superpower, said, "No matter how paranoid or conspiracy-minded you are, what the government is actually doing is worse than you imagine. It's been abundantly established that the government and media work together to create narratives, stir outrage, provoke fear, and divide the people into political groups that are constantly at each other's throats. Oh, and ratings. Let's not forget the ratings. Fabricated stories bolster viewership by bringing eyes to a network that would otherwise be distracted with other things. Let's be honest, fake news draws attention and makes advertisers a lot of money. Hawaii's recent false alarm is just more of this same kind of thing. But government and media collusion is not the speculative concoction of a crazy conspiracy theorist. It's an established conspiracy fact. Operation Mockingbird, for example, was a large-scale program of the United States Central Intelligence Agency that began in the early 1950s with the sole purpose of manipulating the news media for propaganda purposes. It funded student and cultural organizations and magazines as front organizations. Mockingbird recruited leading American journalists into a propaganda network and oversaw the operations of a lot of front groups. CIA support of front groups was exposed after a 1967 Ramparts magazine article reported that the National Student Association received funding from the CIA. In the 1970s, congressional investigations and reports also revealed agency connections with journalists and civic groups.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. And we're looking at that very carefully.
And it's true, the CIA was planting stories. They were manipulating news services to serve the purposes of the elite. This is nothing new. Hermann Goering, leading member of the Nazi Party and military, famously said, "Voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in any country."
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
Of course he wants to do that. He's evading the possibility of perjuring himself. Executive sessions are private.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, the ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them. I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
When you you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Did you guys catch that? In other words, if you're going to run a CIA operation out of your newsroom, you better be way more deceptive so the people don't catch on. If you think that government agencies are no longer involved in promoting their propaganda campaigns through news media outlets, whether through the internet or TV or in print, there's a nice piece of prime real estate on the moon overlooking the Sea of Tranquility I'd like to sell you. One of the key components of propaganda programs is psychological operations. How will the crowd respond if we do this or that? And when they do respond, how can we maneuver that response to our benefit by increasing our profit and our power? There is a tried and true method called the Hegelian dialectic. The formula is so effective and so simple it can be boiled down into 3 words: problem, reaction, solution. An outside force, usually a government, creates a problem in order to provoke a reaction out of the people. Because it's usually a fear-based reaction, the people lose their ability to think critically and collectively beg the government that covertly created the problem in the first place, they beg that government to provide a solution, usually in the form of providing the scared people with safety and security. Typically, the trade-off is that the people give up more of their freedoms so they can gain just a little more temporary security. Security, by the way, that never happens. But the people believe themselves to be more secure, so it's an acceptable arrangement for them. The end result is that the people, in their fear-based, you gotta do something to protect us mentality, voluntarily relinquish their individual liberties, end up with less freedoms, and though they don't know it, they're just as vulnerable or even more vulnerable to attack. And what ends up happening? The government ends up with more of the people's money and more power. The government they trusted created the crisis, the people reacted in fear, and you can bet the government will not let any good crisis go to waste. Some of the minions even admit this publicly.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
So problem, reaction, solution is about the transfer of power. Less power for individuals, more power for the government. A perfect example of the Hegelian dialectic in action is one of the greatest large-scale false flag operations ever conducted, 9/11. The people, in fear of terrorism on American soil, were terrified and begged the government to save them. The unpatriotic Patriot Act, a 342-page document, was written, passed into law by Congress, and instituted within a record 45 days after the event. Isn't that convenient? Unconstitutional departments, like the Department of Homeland Security's TSA, freely trampled on the Fourth Amendment. And from that day forward, all passengers on commercial aircraft must go through a Nazi checkpoint to which people have nicely acclimated and accept as normal. A checkpoint, mind you, that costs the taxpayers over $7 billion every year to provide you only with security theater, because it's so ineffective that the government's own red team tests reveal that over 95% of guns and bombs smuggled by covert agents through those checkpoints still manage to make it onto your aircraft. Still feeling secure? Ben Franklin was right. Those who give up essential liberty to attain a little temporary security deserve neither liberty nor security. It's a long established fact that the government works with the media and the media works with and for the government. They're two peas in the same power transferring propaganda pod. And make no mistake, it's all to continue the ongoing indoctrination program to get you to believe that government authority is legitimate and that it's okay for the government's agents to initiate unjust force on innocent people. Taxation, welfare, warfare. Most people, because they're deceived, will accept the most horrible injustices if they could just get the assurance, as hollow as it is, that their government will keep them safe from harm. And the bigger the lie, the more often that lie is told, the more the people will believe it. Guys, if you got something out of this video, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and share it with everybody you know. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with others. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe and notification button and you'll be alerted when I upload new videos. Today's featured shirts are Protecting and Serving the Crap Out of You, Taxation is Legalized Theft, and Critical Thinking in Progress. Please stand by. Your $5 off promo code is in a link in the description for you for every shirt in the store. And don't forget to leave your thoughts for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yesterday's trash queens.